Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2021 Bermuda Championship DraftKings Picks and preview, plus my wagers towards the end. If we can find someone to come in second place once again, then we'll be riding high, because that's how it's been going during the swing season for me, and not at the Zozo, because the Zozo was a disaster. Fortunately, I didn't bet very much, because I didn't really want to watch the Zozo in a no-cut event in Japan with no strokes gained stats. That's never a lot of fun. The Bermuda Championship also doesn't have strokes gained stats. Next week at the Mayo, also no strokes gained stats, so that's going to be a lot of fun. First thing you need to know about the Bermuda Championship, it's down to 130 players. Before you submit your DraftKings lineups, ensure that everyone that you have selected in your lineups is actually going to be in the field. Because as we've seen so far with the Bermuda Championship, they can't get anyone to play in this tournament. It's tough to get to Bermuda. There's not flights going out. Flights were too heavy and guys had to get off, so they got stuck in Charlotte. It's a whole ordeal. I actually jumped on the Ringer podcast, Fairway Rollin', with Nathan Hubbard and Joe House this week to discuss the tournament, plus some stuff from the course of the year, the best shots, the biggest moments, that kind of thing. So go check out Fairway Rollin' this week too. And Kenny and Tambo had a full field breakdown with DraftKings tiers of pricing. This show is going to be a little bit different, so subscribe to the Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast. Check out the video on Mayo Media Network. Subscribe to the channel, by the way. We're still in the push for 30K. We would like to get there sooner rather than later, and I do want to ask you to smash the like button for the episode, and in the comment section, please leave your favorite 6K golfer at the Bermuda Championship. You may never have heard of the person before, because there's a bunch of creative players in this field that it's kind of shocking that this is what we're going to. This one is going to be a little bit different. It's just me on this episode, and I'm going to be doing my walkthrough on fantasynational.com. If you don't have Fantasy National yet, you should. FantasyNational.com/Mayo will get you a discount, 20% discount off of everything. And let's just jump right into it. So let's go to the DraftKings pricing right now and see what we're dealing with. As you can see, it's a pretty weak field. Fitzmagic, Bezadenhout, Mito, Patrick Reed, Seamus Power, those are your guys above $10,000. When we go back and look at the tournament history of this course, you're going to notice two very distinct things. We'll go to 2021 and 2020 as that's how they're properly allocated. If we were to go through this and call it next year, it would be 2022, but this is the 2021 calendar year, so we're good to go. Essentially, what you're going to find at the top is older, short, accurate hitters who are really good with their wedges and really good at putting. I know that really narrows the field down, but as you can see, like Brian Gay won. He was third the year before, the year that Brendan Todd won. Ari Eggs, everyone's favorite fake Brit, came in second that year. Scheffler, but then you have like Lebioda, Coastal Track Specialist Aaron Wise, David Hearn, Fabian Gomez, Ryan Armour. Like, these are all guys that play well at the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit. If you're looking for comp courses for Bermuda, it's super short. It's like 6,700 yards, a par 71. You're dealing with Sony Open, Heritage, Wyndham, Rocket Mortgage, like that type of weak field short course event. This is on, it's just called grass, I suppose, because it's in Bermuda, but it's on Bermuda grass if that's what you're looking for. Kramer Hickok and Denny McCarthy have had some success here. Russell Knox has had a little bit of success here. Russell Knox is going to be very popular this week. I've seen him touted a bunch. I mean, I understand what we're dealing with here. Accurate driver, boom, check mark for him, because you want to be an accurate driver, I suppose. Good with your wedges, he's good with his wedges. Can he make some putts? I mean, occasionally he can make some putts, I suppose, but and it's going to be gusty. I mean, that is the primary defense of this course, is that the wind has to pick up or everyone is absolutely screwed and people are going to go super low. But Russell Knox doesn't have a top 5 finish since 2017. Like that's a rough scene for old Russell Knox in this circumstance. Like, you can just go back and look. Not that that would disqualify him of playing well at this tournament. I mean, Brian Gay did absolutely nothing before winning this, and this is where the Todd father started kicking it back around and rejuvenated his career. He had been awful coming into this for like the past 3 years. So I wouldn't say that like recent form disqualifies anyone, but it's been a trek for Russell Knox. He has some cuts made, but he never really putts well enough. The around the green game is tough. Are you going to hit every green in regulation? I suppose not at this tournament. So it does seem like where he is shaping up to be very popular this week that I'd probably end up going with a pass. But my point was, when you look at it, you have the accuracy, wedge, putting type players. Not long off the tee, whatsoever. So that's going to be the lean for a lot of people, myself included, because you see a lot of these guys inside the top 10, at least from 2 years ago, even from last year, you see a very similar type of player. But then you have like Wyndham Clark and Ollie Schneiderjans who are just going to try to absolutely gouge the course. It's not that the longer players can't win here. It's just you don't see a ton of long players in this field, I guess would be the issue. So when I go and I actually set one up, a stat model this week, to try to find some guys. I didn't even apply all the weight. I only played 85% of the weight because I couldn't figure out really what I wanted to do. Essentially, like I said, wedge range and in close. There's a lot of really short holes on this course. So there are 3 long par 3, so 200 to 225 yard par 3. I weighted at 10%. You have 75 to 100, 100 to 125, 125 to 150, weighted at 5, 15, and 15%. Fairways gained at 20%. When I spoke with Joe House, he said he had played this course before, and that being in the fairway and being in the rough really isn't that big of a difference, but it does seem to lean towards the more accurate players doing really well at this course. There's a bunch of short par 4s, so 350 to 400 yard par 4s coming in at 10%, and I weighted putting at 10%. Let's load that in and see what is happening. I bet you it spits out, well, one of the guys that I bet this week, I know that it spits out because I ran the model before, in full disclosure, but Bezuidenhout on paper, like when we think about this, is the player that immediately comes to mind for me. So let's see how he rates out. Yeah, over the past 50 rounds, he's number 3. Matthew Fitzpatrick coming off a win over in Spain at a very difficult course, rates number 29th, but obviously a lot of his best work is done on the European Tour. Mito is number 9. Then you got like Reed at 34, Seamus Power at 16. And really what I want to be seeing here in the green area is just guys that are really good, basically from 100 to 125. You can be good from that range. You can do a ton of scoring. Chad Ramey, look at that, only 16 weighted rounds. The putting hasn't really been there. Bezuidenhout, the best putter. We know that can flip week to week, but generally, he's been very good overall. Adam Hadwin's another one who the wedges aren't really there, but the fairways are there, the short par 4s are there, and the putting has been there. And the one thing I just find odd about Adam Hadwin, when we look at it, is just he's priced over these players who I just feel like are, better form is probably a stretch, but like Danny Willett just won the BMW PGA Championship over in England. He's a Masters champion. He's behind Adam Hadwin by $100, especially if it is in windy conditions. I don't love Danny Willett this week, but I just thought that was pretty intriguing. Guido has been kind of tearing it up on the world stage over the past year. He's $8,700. Those are all pretty good prices. Ryan Armour rates out number 2 on this course, and he's had success here before too. So let's make some picks for DraftKings. When we're at the very top, I do like Bezuidenhout. I'm going to try to do the Rick Run Good Cascade method here. I bet Patrick Reed at 22 to 1. I can't get away from that number. It's Patrick Reed in what is essentially like a tier 2 Corn Ferry event. Come on now. I don't know if I want to play him a ton on DraftKings because the downside is so low that he might blow up some 6 of 6s for me. But in the outright betting market, it's Patrick Reed 22 to 1 in a minor league event. Like, we bet him 30 to 1 in majors. What are we doing here? You might be wasting your money on Patrick Reed because he is absolutely not right, or he's by far the best player in this field and smokes everyone. It's not like he doesn't have wins at some of the courses that I was talking about. He's won at the Wyndham Championship before. The Amex is probably another one that you can look at. He's won that tournament before. The sneaky one to probably go to outside of Rocket Mortgage is also probably Travelers, just based on length of the course. So that is another one that we can look at. I want to go back to tournament history just for 1 second. We'll sort by strokes gained total. And let's see, Brian Gay, 1st and 3rd. Ryan Armour, 8th and 8th. Lebiota, 16th and 3rd. David Hearn, Kanajan, 8th and 8th. Then you have McCarthy, 2 top 15s. Kramer Hickok, 2 15s. And full disclosure, I bet Kramer Hickok this week at 80 to 1 with the top 5 each way. Russell Knox, he's also up there, 16th and an 11th for him. So you have some guys that have just performed well year over year. I guess the one other thing that we could look at a little bit after, I'll jot this down, is Bermuda grass putting, and to see if anyone really hops off the page to me. So it's going to be Bezuidenhout for me. The issue is if you're going to pay up at the top this week on DraftKings, like you have absolute jabronis down in the $6,000 area. Maybe you can find someone you really like say, Scott Brown tends to play well in these events. You can see the Chase Seifert. He's very good at these short par 3s or short par 4s. Sorry, he's very good from 100 and in. I don't know if you really want to be going to him in this spot, but when we sort by the rankings, maybe we just let Fantasy National do the work on everything that I've kind of pointed out here. Let's see what Ben Crane rates 6th in the modeling. I don't know when these rounds are from, but he's at $6,400. He would fit ideally with the type of player that has won this event before. He's really in the Brian Gay zone when it comes down to the type of player that he is. Let's see. He was 18th in Bermuda last time that they played here. Of course he was. 8th in Puerto Rico. So he's doing okay. 33rd at Corrales. In the Caribbean swing, I guess the Bermuda is in the Caribbean. I feel like it's more in the Atlantic, just off the coast of South Carolina. Anyway, it's the only one that's in the same time zone that I actually live in, but we haven't seen Ben Crane since the 3M Open. Now, some of these guys have played the Corn Ferry playoffs. They've been playing over in Europe, but it's curious to see that he hasn't had any status whatsoever for any of the events. Chris Stroud is another one who I always get him confused with Brian Stewart anyway. Let's see how Chris Stroud has been doing. Not great. Probably sets him up perfectly to win here. RBC Heritage, 28th. That was in 2020. Oh, boy. Has not been a good go. We haven't seen a whole lot of Chris Stroud. He played the Fortinet Championship, and that was his first one since Sanderson Farms the year before that on the PGA Tour. That's not a great look for old Chris Stroud. So swing back up to the top. Bezadenhout's going to be my guy. I think Hadwin's going to end up being very popular. We'll check in on the ownership percentages here in a second. There's probably not a ton to draw from, honestly, mainly because it's so early in the week. I'm recording this on a Tuesday morning. I'll have my entire betting cheat sheet in the Mayo Media newsletter if that's something that you do want to go subscribe to right now. And I'm just going to try to play the numbers as good as possible here. It looks like Seamus Power sets up really well. I could see getting behind that. Where are we going to go here? Chad Ramey, man. Captain Ramius, really good from inside here. Let's see what these 16 rounds are from. So the Shriner, Sanderson's Farms, and the Fortinet from this year. He has been really good from this like specific wedge range. He tends to hit a bunch of fairways. Not great on these short ones, not great. I guess the putting kind of goes either really good or really poorly round by round. But I can see why he's rated up there. So maybe we'll put him on the short list. Pendrith just got married over the weekend. I found this out based on my Facebook feed as someone I knew was at his wedding, as it turned out. Didn't hear it reported, but I'm reporting it right now. He got married like 2 weeks ago. So I guess this is his first tournament. Maybe he's using Bermuda as a honeymoon too. Like, good enough to fade for me. He's not the type of player that I want. Matthias Schwab is the type of player that I want. I just do not trust Matthias Schwab to make enough putts to win a tournament. So I think where I'm actually going to go, I'm going to keep riding Tigala. I mean, Dietrich's right there. That's very intriguing to me, only because he's such a good player in a field like this. You think that class could really overcome. But I'll go with Tigala and Guido at $8,800 and $8,700. Yaga bombs, not necessarily the type of player that I want. David Lipsky is, though. Look at these wedges. I don't know if he can make the putts required, but at $8,000, a pivot right off of Bramlett and Ryan Armour is probably pretty nice for Lipsky, who overall is probably I don't know if he's a better player than Bramlett, but he's probably a better player than Ryan Armour at this point. Although Ryan Armour has the 2 top 10s at this course in the past, and that would be sort of the intriguing part for me with them. See, Russell Knox, yeah, the wedge range absolutely kills it. You can see why he's going to be popular. That's just going to be a full-on fade for me, just based on popularity. I have him and Hadwin as 2 of the most popular players this week, so in a field like this with such weirdness going on that I'll probably take a pass on that. Austin Eckerat, a guy that I never really go to. I mean, look at these wedge ranges. That is just amazing. Let's fire him up at $7,500. Lee Biota, too. How has Lee Biota been doing? How's Dylon Fratelli been doing? Another really good player with his wedges. See, Lee Biota, ever since his really hot run with the putter, has missed 4 consecutive cuts. Okay, perfect lead-in form for the Bermuda. And Fratelli missed at Shriners, missed at the Fortinet, and was 39th at the Sanderson Farms. The issue is when we start looking at the recent form for a lot of these guys, it's not going to be good at all because most of these guys aren't that good, and that's a real issue. And maybe you want to lean with your gut on some of these. Like, I'm going to play Graham McDowell. Graham McDowell loves coastal courses. That's his jam. It's like Aaron Wise. I don't know where he's at in his career. They could be pretty good, but he made his last 2 cuts over on the European Tour. That's about as good enough for me as we're going to find. If Duffner could putt, watch out, because this would be a perfect tournament for him. I think I'm going to go with Duffner anyway at $7,200. Let's see how he's been doing so far in the new season. Off the tee, been good. Nah, the approaches haven't been as good, but in close, as we've seen, been pretty good. He's only played once, came 42nd. He tends to be a cut maker. He gives himself enough birdie opportunities that it's not going to be the craziest thing in the world, even when he starts missing his 2-foot putts. So he'll just have enough opportunities, hopefully, that he can sneak himself through the weekend. I love Brian Stewart this week. Although he has not played well at this course in the 2 years, he does seem like the perfect fit. He's going to hit every fairway. He's great from in close with his wedges, and he makes a ton of putts. I bet him at 80-1. He's probably my favorite bet this week, although he's probably going to come in dead last now. But come on, Brian Stewart on Bermuda grass on a short course. That's like the only time that you can play Brian Stewart, and he's only $7,100. I don't care how popular he ends up getting. That's where I'm going to go. Svensson actually rates out pretty well here. Let's see how he's been doing since his return. I mean, the proximity was not good at Shriners. He was just bad at Shriners. The Fortinet, okay, maybe we pass on old Adam Svensson. It looks like a lot of old data from him. That's always important to go check your round-by-round data, too. Brian Gay, not currently in Bermuda as we're recording this. He's stuck in Charlotte, so you have to make sure that he actually gets there at the same time before we do anything. I bet, and I'm playing Kramer Hickok. That's more of a course history, pure putter type of play. The putting hasn't been really good recently, but he did spike that playoff at Travelers. He's played well at this course in the past. So that seems, you have to make really marginal choices when it comes down to it this week. Another guy I really like is actually Camilo Villegas. To answer the question in the comment section, I like Villegas a lot this week. So much that I've already bet Camilo Villegas this week at 100-1. I like him on Bermuda. I like him on windy tracks. I like him on short tracks. This is all kind of sets up really well for him. Hopefully his game can come through enough that we can get it. Oh, Ludwig Adberg. I don't know who that is. He's got to be from Austria, right? If his name is Ludwig. Let's see. Oh, he's Swedish. Swedish amateur. Okay. He won 2 events in the professional 2020 Nordic Golf League and the 2001 Amateur Tournament Jones Cup Invitational, and is the #1 European amateur right now in April, as of April 2021. All right. Ludwig Adberg. Here we go. Probably not going to play him. Rather play Camilo Villegas. Oh, Patrick Flavin's in the field. Barjan withdrew. So there's, like I said, there's a bunch of guys who are still listed in the DraftKings system and on Fantasy National until we do a full update once the field becomes finalized that you might want to be a little bit wary of. Oh, Vaughn Taylor rates out really well too. Okay, let's play Vaughn Taylor at $6,800. Maybe we can fit in 2 high-end guys. You know, like I said, Barjan is out. Kitayama. I'll probably take a pass on Kitayama. Who else? Let's just go and make sure that we're not missing anyone down here. Svensson, like I said, rates out well, but those are really old numbers. I've sorted these by past 50 rounds overall. Anyone else leap out here? Lingmerth, those are probably really old rounds. Olin Brown, good God. I'm pretty... How old is Olin Brown? I'm going to guess that he's 56 years old. He may or may not even be playing at this point. He's 62. Okay, Olin Brown. There we go. Okay, Olin Brown came T5 at a seniors event on May 2nd when he lost to Mike Weir and John Daly at an event. Okay, Olin Brown. Let's have it. Who else from down here? So where are his rounds actually being drawn from? Back like when he played to 2020 Charles Schwab, he missed the cut, played the 2018 Barbasol, 2014, 2009 is still included in his past 50 rounds. And his past 50 rounds goes all the way back to 2006. So yeah, we probably don't need to pay much attention to Olin Brown. Let's sort this now by past 24 rounds to see if it gives us anything a little bit different. To see if we can find someone who's maybe who's been better with their wedges recently or who hasn't. Although I don't plan on playing 150 lineups. Hell, I don't even feel like playing 20 lineups this week. So we'll see how that ends up going. We just sort by rank. Mito. Man, Mito's up there, isn't he? Oh, that's going to be a tough one. Oh, Mark Hubbard. When I spoke to Nathan, he wasn't like big up in his brother all that much. So this actually seems like a pretty good event for him. Let's see. John Deere, he's made 6 cuts in a row on the PGA Tour. Did not play well at Rocket Mortgage. Yeah, I think we probably have to add Mark Hubbard. $7,900 is not a great price, but like as a pivot off of Ryan Armour, who continues to rate out well no matter what we do, and so does Russell Knox. But how Boner Jams at $6,100? Good for him. Glad to see him back. Yeah, might have to go with Mito. I think a lot of people will go, actually, let's just check in on the ownership right now that we have at least 6 guys starred in it. Let's see. Matthew Fitzpatrick, 33%. Wow. And Mito's only coming in at 16 right now. Again, these are very rough estimates of what's going on. As you can see, Bezadenhout, is actually his calculated ownership, and Mito's calculated ownership is higher than Fitzpatrick. Although for the people that have generated lineup so far, that's only 867 people as I record this. It does appear like Bezadenhout and Mito are not being spat out in that same sort of deal. All right, so this is probably better to look at more contrarian plays this week, because I think that you probably give or take 10% on some of these ownerships at this time of the week, but the really, really low ones are likely to continue to be really, really low. Matthias Schwab, 3%. I mean, maybe I will end up playing him because accuracy, wedges, pray he can make some putts. That's likely the way to go. Like Hadwin at 19% versus Willett, even Pendrith at 3%. I don't love Pendrith here. I just don't think that he hits his irons well enough at an elevated price. I think when you can get him at a cheap price, he can do enough scoring to really come through for you, but I don't love this one. Dietrich at 2.3%. Let's look up some Thomas Dietrich to see how he's been doing in the world stage lately. Official world golf rankings, Thomas Dietrich. He is the 83rd best player in the world outside of the Dutch Open, where he came T4. It's been a really rough go for him. All right, so I can see why lots are fading him right now. Although if you did want to just go with, hey, who's a really good player and get behind that, Dietrich is there. I mean, Tigala, who I do have started, is going to be very highly owned as it appears. I guess Mark Hubbard is going to be very highly owned. I'm going to unstar Mark Hubbard. Go with David Lipsky. Yeah, he is most definitely the pivot play here. Everyone's on Armour. Everyone's on Hubbard. Everyone's on Nick Hardy. Everyone's on Russell Knox. Everyone's on Hank Lebiota. Everyone else kind of in between is going to have super low ownership, like Nick Watney, 0%. I don't even know if he's there or not. What about Uline? Uline's interesting to me. If this course plays a little bit tough, I mean, I have no recollection of how he is playing and how he isn't playing because, again, we're dealing with the Bermuda Championship. Putts really well on Bermuda. That's a plus. The Fortnite lost on his approaches. Okay. See what else Peter Uline is doing. Played pretty well through the Corn Ferry playoffs. Nothing crazy. T2 in Utah before that. T6 on the Corn Ferry Tour. All right, not the craziest thing in the world, but I don't know if I'm going to get to him or not. Who are the chalk guys down low? Cameron Percy, Bo Hogue, Bo Hostler. There's Stewart and David Hearn. They're in the lower end of this, though. I would expect Stewart's ownership to probably get up a lot. Oh, Vaughn Taylor, 24% in lineups right now, 11% calculated ownership. You might be a pretty decent fade then if that ends up being the case. Who was the other guy? I liked Vijegas was the other one who was right there. All right, I think that we're pretty good here. I got to pick someone else at the top, I think, because if I try to generate some lineups, it's not going to give me exactly what I want to do. I'm good with fading Matthew Fitzpatrick. I'm good with fading Patrick Reed. So I think it comes down to like Mito, Seamus, Matthias Schwab. What was Captain Ramius? What was he up to? Ramey, 10%. That's so weird how people decide to go with this stuff. Being contrarian this week is probably a good play, but not absolutely everywhere, as we have seen similar players do well at this course over the years. And sometimes for the bigger type players in these like Caribbean or island events, they just want to party a little bit, and they don't really care all that much. We've seen that with Pat Perez. We've seen that with Henrik Stenson over the years, where even if they make the cut, they're like, nah, I'm going to get out of here. Don't worry about it. Although this will get you into the Masters if you win, because this is usually across from WGC China, but they don't have that event anymore. Surprised Denny McCarthy isn't even higher owned than 15%. I would expected him to be pretty good. What about Yagabombs? 0.6%? How's he been doing? Missed it Shriners, Sanderson, Fortnite. Man, the guy putts the lights out, doesn't he? Then Nationwide, Boise, and Pinnacle, fourth, second. Let's go take a easier look at that in order. I might end up going to Steven Yeager if literally no one wants to play him. I mean, could you do worse? Yeah, you could do worse, I think. Yeah, through the Corn Ferry playoffs, fourth, second. 26 at Sanderson, which would be a pretty decent comp for this one. If he's going to put the lights out, he's probably live. Let's chuck him in the player pool too. Let's go. Yagabombs, you're on the team. And he continues to be a pretty good pivot from the Hubbards of the world, the Armours of the world, the Bramletts of the world. I wish I could go back to Higo, but he looks broken at the moment. He was terrible at the Zozo. A lot of guys were terrible at the Zozo, but it's been a while. Basically, since he won in Palmetto and went through his double win in the Canary Islands, it's been all downhill for him. Hopefully, he can recapture his game, because I really like Garrick Higo. He's only 21 or 22 years old, so I think that he'll get his game back. It's just not currently there at the moment. All right, how many players do I have started? 12? Yeah, I could probably play 10 10 to 15 lineups with 12 guys. After I add in either, I'll select Mito for the moment. Actually, you know what? I'll select Schwab for the moment as a contrarian play. But Bezadenhout is going to be my big building block for the week. I don't like his betting odds. He's only in at 12 to 1. I suppose I should go through the bets for the week as we go through this. I bet Patrick Reed at 22 to 1. I dislike that a lot. Oh, you know who I didn't end up going with? Let's go back to DraftKings just for 1 second because I totally forgot him. Ted Potter Jr. I'm playing at $6,100. Boom. Easy game. He has been god-awful coming in. This is the perfect type of TPJ event. TPJ, 3 missed cuts in a row. Woo! Just heating up at the right time. He's 350 to 1. That's actually probably the better play. I'm not going to use a ton of Ted Potter Jr., but at a score fest with wedges, like, he's won PGA events in the past. So that's what he can say over a lot of people. So the bets, and I will have the cheat sheet in the newsletter out on Tuesday evening. You can also find the link to the spread show in there as well. But it's going to be Patrick Reed, 22 to 1 for the bets. Then I'm going Brian Stewart, 80 to 1 with the top 5 each way. Camilo Villegas, 100 to 1 with the top 5 each way. Kramer Hickok, 80 to 1 with the top 5 each way. Ted Potter Jr., 350 to 1 with the top 5 each way. I believe those are all the ones that I have in. I also bet Ted Potter first round leader as well. I'm just going to go check out what I've done here so far. I'm going to log in to see what my bets are. I made them all on like Monday night as I was doing prep for this, and just to make sure I didn't leave anyone off the card. But once again, you can find everyone up there. Ted Potter Jr., Brian Stewart, Ted Potter Jr., Camilo Villegas, Kramer Hickok, and Patrick Reed. Feel like that seems like enough to invest in this tournament, although I can be talked into someone else. Guido's odds are like pretty spicy. I think Guido's like 50 to 1. I might have to get on that just so I don't get a case of FOMO as we go through it. Where is he at now? Now I don't even see him on the list. Now 55 to 1 for Guido? Let's do it. Yeah, Guido, let's go. Guido, let's go. See how that goes. 55 to 1, top 5 each way, along with him as well. So I think that's probably going to end up being the 6-pack. Maybe we need to bring back the 6-pack for this year. Those are going to be the 6. We got a favorite from the top, someone in the mid-range, and then just a bunch of bombs down the list. Stewart's probably going to be like my pick, though. Like when I write it up in Golf Digest, I would anticipate Brian Stewart being one of the top-end guys, although he has failed to make the cut here, I believe, the past 2 years. Let me just go look up Brian Stumanji for a second. Where's that tournament history? Type in Stewart. Yeah, he was T51, and then he was cut a year ago. So hopefully he can come through for me at the Bermuda Championship. Thank you for watching. Once again, Kenny and Tambo on the Fantasy Golf Degenerates have a full field breakdown. If you want some alternate views on the Bermuda Championship, I'm on Fairway Rollin' this week on the Ringer Podcast Network. And remember to subscribe to the Mayo Media Network, both on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or if you're an audio listener, or on YouTube to help us push to 30,000 subs. Smash on your way out and subscribe to fantasynational.com/Mayo to get yourself 20% off. Good luck this week at the Butterbean Bermuda Championship. I'll see you next time.
Mayo experience! Experience!